Choosing a new smartphone can be a challenge, and in the Galaxy S6, LG G4 and the Huawei P8, we have three handsets that are arguably all worthy of your money. When making your decision, you often have to look at reviews and versus comparisons, but sometimes they just don't answer all the questions that you might have. Hey, what's up guys, it's Nirav here for Android Authority, and a couple of weeks ago we gave you the chance to have your questions on the Galaxy S6, LG G4 and the Huawei P8 answered. As mentioned in that post, we asked you to leave your questions in the comments, and then we decided to pick the ones that have been the most top voted. So yeah, we picked a total of 6 questions to answer. Let's get started. We're starting with the top voted question, which comes from Bernard, who asked, with octa-core LPDDR4 chipsets coming out, is it worth getting the LG G4? Is the Samsung S6 the better buy for performance? How long will the Snapdragon 808 last against the competition? To answer this, first let's take a look at how each handset performs, and then I'll give you my opinion on which has the best performance. In the Antutu benchmark, which tests the CPU, RAM and graphics, the S6 scores 67971, the G4 scores 48969, and the P8 scores 47461. Switching to 3D Mark, which tests the graphical capabilities of each handset, the S6 scores 21754, the G4 scores 18414, and the P8 scores really lowly with 11739. The last of the tests is Geekbench 3, which tests both a single core and all of the cores together. And in this test, the S6 scores 1253 in the single core and 4241 in the multi-core test. The G4 gets 1098 and 3352, and the P8 scores really lowly at 689 and 2999. That's the figures on paper, and they reflect the actual performance of each handset. The optimized software on the Galaxy S6 and the powerful Exynos CPU result in one of the fastest Android performances ever, while the G4 is close behind and the P8 is some way off in third. To answer your question, Bernard, there will always be newer chips on the market with offering better performance. And sure, the G4 isn't as optimized and fluid as the Galaxy S6, but it's not bad enough to warrant not buying just for the performance. The Galaxy S6 is a little bit better, and I'd fully expect the G4 to get better than it is now with future updates. Question 2 comes from Mr. AA Kuljami, who asked, which camera performs better when it comes to auto mode? Simple auto mode, just open the camera and shoot, no manual tweaking of settings. G4 or S6? That's also a tough question, but I have to say that overall the Galaxy S6 camera is just a little bit better than the G4's. In daylight conditions, the G4 is probably a little bit more accurate thanks to the colour spectrum sensor, and images from the S6 appear a little bit oversaturated. But the differences are negligible. In low light and videos, however, the S6 is definitely the better camera. Moving on to question 3, and Bob wanted to know, can we get a chart with stats, mostly battery life and camera stats? You know, for easy compare. Now this is a tough one to answer in a video, so to Bob and anyone else who wanted to see this chart, please take a look at the post on AndroidAuthority.com, and we'll publish the chart there along with some of my own findings as well. Moving on to the 4th questions, and we've got a question here from Donovan Richards, who asked, quick question about audio quality of the 3.5mm jack. I'm a major music freak like most people and have my IEMs in all day every day at work, on the motorcycle and definitely whilst running. Due for an upgrade and aiming at the LG G4 and Galaxy S6. Using your ears and the standard headphones that come with the S6 and the G4, how would you describe the sound of each? As it's been said, the S6 has a Wolfson audio chip for better quality sound. Not sure about the G4? Which would you say in your terms sound the clearest and detailed? I really wanted to answer this question as best as I could, Donovan, but the LG G4 sample I received didn't have headphones in the box. However, I can tell you that, to my untrained ears at least, when I used a pair of Beats headphones, the G4 audio is good, but the Galaxy S6 is a little bit better. The S6 headphones are also really comfortable in the ears and work well when used on a moving train. On to the second last question we're answering, which actually came from Razer, but it's the question that so many of you asked. Which one of these 3 devices would I pick? Here's what I think. This is a tough question, but I thank Razer and everyone else who asked it. It's very much my personal opinion, which may differ to yours, and I personally really like the camera and design on the LG G4, and the excellent design of the Huawei P8, but the Galaxy S6 takes it for me just because it has the overall package. whereas the G4 and the P8 aren't the best when it comes to the software. I never thought I'd say this, but TouchWiz on the S6 has been optimized so much, it really offers the best performance. Add in the Quad HD Super AMOLED display, which is simply phenomenal, with built-in wireless charging, outstanding camera, and of course the metal and glass design. The Galaxy S6 ticks more boxes than either the G4 or the P8.
Now to the final question, which came from Saeed Askari.
Which device has the best display and camera? Which one gives the premium look?
Now Saeed, answering this question is really 3 questions in one, so I'm going to split this up. First I'll talk about the display, next the camera, and finally, which one is actually the most premium looking?
The display is arguably the best on the Galaxy S6, but the LG G4 is really close, and I mean really close. There's almost nothing in it. Samsung is known for having excellent displays, and since the G3, LG have come really close as well. With the G4, it's their best smartphone display ever, and while I slightly prefer the oversaturated, more vibrancy of the Super AMOLED display on the Galaxy S6, you may actually find the G4 display is slightly better. Moving on to the camera, and it's again very close between the G4 and the S6. We've done loads of testing on the camera, including a shootout, and it's almost impossible to call. The G4 offers the most realistic images thanks to the color spectrum sensor, but the oversaturated images from the Galaxy S6 look a little better. In video, the Galaxy S6 is better, but the G4 is arguably better for images, so I'm calling this a draw. Moving on to the last part, the premium look, and this is where I personally believe the G4 is actually a letdown. The Galaxy S6 is made from metal and glass. The Huawei P8 is simply stunning with this metal aluminium unibody that's just 6.4mm thick. But the G4? Well, the G4 is made from plastic. And even though there's a leather back cover option, the plastic build means that actually the G4 is the least premium looking of the 3 devices. Which is the most premium? Well, it's a tough call. On the one hand, we have the Galaxy S6, which is definitely stylish and premium. And on the other hand, we have the insanely thin Huawei P8 that's full of features. It's a tough one to call, so I'm not going to call it, and I'm going to leave it as a draw between the two. You'll all have your own opinion on which is the most premium, so let me know your views in the comments below.
So there you have it, your questions on the Galaxy S6, the LG G4 and the Huawei P8 answered. Hopefully I've helped some of you make a decision, and hey, unfortunately we couldn't answer all of the questions, because otherwise, this video would have been an hour long. If you've got a question that you desperately need answering, why not leave it in the comments below? And hey, maybe one of our community can actually help. We'll obviously try and help where we can. We can't promise to answer everything, but we'll do what we can. Thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this unique look at 3 of the latest Android smartphones on the market. Let us know your views in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, please. Hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more from your source for all things Android. Until next time.